On Saturday, October 19th, we'll see the return to the ring of super welterweight Tszyu as he takes on little-known Bakhram Murtazaliev in a fight that will be deemed the war at 154. This could prove a huge difference in who becomes champion in the near future. Let's talk about this matchup. Murtazaliev versus Tszyu, another super welterweight showdown that may not have eyes cast upon it, but people need to be watching, because boxing is all about what have you done for me lately. And when you've seen the best of what the top fighters in boxing have done comparative to other opponents or potential opponents, when they decide to come together, there is typically something that is very revealing about who's positioned where in the sport. And such will be the case when Tim takes on Bakhram, because these are two of the division's most fierce punchers and aggressive fighters at the top of the game. We just recently saw Terrence Bud Crawford defeat Israel Madrimov for Madrimov's title. However, these two, Tszyu had that IBF title before losing it to Sebastian Fundora. And when you think about Bakhram, he's a man from Russia who has been toiling in the shadows waiting for his opportunity. He's fiercely aggressive, a lot like Tszyu. He's a solid puncher with good punch placement, a lot like Tszyu. In other words, what we may be seeing here is fighters who mirror one another's styles, and it could be some type of affair where these two men bring the best and the worst out of one another. The only difference here is when you look at what Tszyu has accrued to this point in his career, he has faced the most serious of opposition, unlike Bakhram, who hasn't seen the type of names. I mean, just on his last 6 fights, Takashi Inoue, Terrell Boucher, Tony Harrison, Carlos Ocampo, Brian Mendoza, and Sebastian Fundora, which brings Tim's record presently to 24-1 with 17 KOs. That one defeat coming in March of 2024, a split decision loss to Sebastian Fundora in the fight where he incurred that terrible cut over his head, where he bled profusely throughout the bout. He's needed some time off for that to heal, but he would have rather gotten right back at it. But in the case of Bakhram Murtazaliev, forgive me if I'm murdering his name, that's not intended. However, his record of 22-0 with 16 KOs has seen him obliterate his opponents with a fierce aggressiveness. He's an orthodox fighter who is 6 feet tall, and he's 31 years of age. He's very strong. He punches in volume, and he really likes to try to hurt his opponents. He's almost like a shrunken down version of Artur Beterbiev, but he doesn't have Beterbiev's footwork or ring smarts, and he has done this against third-tier opposition. So Tszyu is going to be his first step up, and Tszyu understands what it means. The son of a legend, Tszyu, He understands what it means for fighters to want to use his name as a springboard to go forward with their career. And so he will come in being 29 years of age. He's an orthodox fighter who's 5'8.5", a bit shorter, closer to the super welterweight division's dimensions. And he knows how to box and punch. Tim has great punch placement. So I believe when these two face one another, Bakhram is going to try to swarm Tim, but he's going to have to be smart with his attack, because if he just goes blazing in against him like Joe Smith tried against Artur Beterbiev, it could be an early night for him because Tim is battle tested. Now, if he decides to try to box safely, it could prove to be the better way. But still, the experience of Tszyu, having been in against far more experienced and a higher level of fighter, is going to prove whatever Bakhram's shortcomings are, they could be exploited over the distance of a 12-round fight. All in all, Tszyu can be hit. He has shown in the past, being knocked to the canvas in the early rounds against the likes of Terrell Gausset, and once he began to box him, Sebastian Fundora had a very good time of keeping him at the end of his shots due to his height and reach. But it was the Brian Mendoza fight that shows more what's true about Tim, because even if you try to sit down and fight him like Mendoza did, you can get your pound of flesh against him. The thing that I didn't like about what we saw when he faced off against Mendoza was that he was fighting in his hometown, home country of Australia. I wonder what it would have been like on neutral grounds or even in America. Bringing us back to Bakhram. Bakhram is going to try to take his head off, but I do believe he will be open for counter shots because he has been powerful against the type of opposition he has faced. He can be reckless, dropping his hands at times and wading in without the jab, but trying to lead with power punching. And that's where Tim's ring IQ can come into play, because if he starts to begin to time Bakhram, what will happen is he can catch him with precise shots that could be damaging. And don't forget the body blows. Tszyu, a lot like his dad Kostya, can drop body punches in on you very fiercely. He was able to use that against Tony Harrison, a very experienced and skilled boxer, to break him down. Overall, I see this as a very competitive fight, and Tszyu has an opportunity to become a second-time champion. But it will not necessarily be an easy task, but it could be easier for him if he relies upon his experience, listens to his coaches, follow their game plan, which I do believe will be to take Murtazaliev out into the deep waters to drown him. As far as Murtazaliev and how he can be successful, box straight up with an idea of trying to outpoint Tim and lull him to sleep while he lands his power shots and gets out of the way. This is how he can be successful. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts about these two super welterweights who are punchers and are gonna blaze at it. Leave comments and let's discuss. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.